So we have created the schemas, department and employee, right? Where we have created a relation between them, department and employee, and now we have to create. This we have to map to our database now. So let's go to database. Have we created any database as such? So this is already there, and you have a school which is already there. So we can do one thing. Let me create a new database to map. So let me call it as department database. Okay. So I have created some database which doesn't contain any object as such, right? So let's do a thing. Now, as our objects are ready, right? Now we can actually map these two database to create these objects. So right click on this and say something called generate database from model, right? So we have model ready, and we have to create a database over here. Now here, let me click on new connection to the database I have in my local instance. And database, let me just select database. We have created department, and let me click on new test connection. It is click on OK. Now we have a new connection to catalog department here, right? And you can keep this entity here, which is office model container. It is giving office model container. That's fine. Click on it. Now this is going to be a context list, right? Click on next. I want LT framework 6.0, and then you have your. Now you can see here what it will do is there is a parameter in this. You can see generating a media, right? There, whatever models you created, right? Obviously, we have to create objects now, right? Obviously, all your creates and you can generate a query which is called DDL, which is a data definition language, right? Let me show you this. You can see here, it will actually show you each object, whatever model you have defined, right? It will actually take it as a table, right? And it will keep all the variables you have created as a column names, and the data type, whatever you have mentioned as a data type, and whether it is null or not. Okay, and it will be same for all. And if you have created the primary key, it will create that constraint, right? As here. And if you are in foreign keys, it will create that constraint. Click on finish. Now you will see this SQL file being created in this. So it is creating a SQL file. Yeah, you got a SQL file. Right, so this contains all the, you can see that SQL file got added to your project, right? All the SQL's main, whatever you have to create here, right? And now you can see, initially whenever it got created, it is disconnected. You can't execute this this one because there is no, it is your SQL is different from the database. Right? Now you can see this disconnected mode here, right? The same as disconnected mode which you can see in your SQL 2. You can this editor will be same in your. Let me show you that. Let me disconnect that. Like you see, this initial instance, right? So this is a pointer here. Now, if you want to run any query, right? If you write anything, it will not work. Why? Because let me type in something like select star from, let's say, students, where students table is in school. If I run this, you can see what happens. It will actually ask me to connect to which database source you are looking for. Right? So this window is something which seeks for connection first. Let me connect. Now you can see by default it gives students as right, because you can see the table or our database being selected by default is master. Let me go and select school here and let me run it again. Now you can see this. So that is a disconnected mode and mode connected. Same thing, right click on this, right, and you have a connection here. And you can say connect. Right, now this is something to which database you want to connect. And I want to connect to this database, so right, now you can see you have your connection here to which server you want. Same way, if you go to your SQL, you can see the same connection which you see, right? Now similarly, now how can I run this? So if I run this, will it be mapped to the right database or not? Right? That is question. The same way how we had something called we had master first, right? But when I execute this, you can see it is an invalid object because in master table it doesn't have. Again, whenever you are creating table, it will always map to the right database. So for that reason, what you can do, you can first, if you can say something called use your database name. Let's say I'm going to use the department first. Whenever you say use department and go, let me run this. Whenever you select anything in your SQL and execute, right, only that part of statements will go. When I click on execute, now you can see command successfully executed, and you can see it changed to department. Now, which means if you just leave it and execute, right, it will automatically change it to department and run the query. Anyways, we know that we don't have any table named students in department. Right? Same way, let's say I don't want this department, I want the school here. Now run it, so you can see the output. Right? So it's always better to use a database name, set your database before running any queries, or what you can do, you can use the database name to actually mention the table. Right? You can give two dots there so that you are using school database, right? Which is a school schema, and then in which you have something called students table. Run it, you can see the output. Right? Both are same. Now here you can see as soon as the SQL file got created, you can see here that it says use department. Right? If you remember, we created this configuration, or whenever we try to map this model, the database, right? We selected department database, right? So that is the reason why it is showing as the same. Now this is ready. So before executing this, let's go back and see what tables are there in department. Let's refresh. You can see there are nothing in tables. Let's go ahead here, right click on it and execute. You can see command successful. Right? Now let's go to database. The first one you can see departments and employees. Go to schema columns, you have departments, ID, department name, phone number, credit time. Similarly, you have employees, where you have ID, all the things, and your department ID. And your department ID is a FK, which is a foreign key, right? Which is, you can see, let me double click on this, or else let me go to design and show you the actual mappings. So this is department ID, right? So let's say relationship. Now you can see we have a department foreign key, department to employee, right? And if you want to check out this, you can see here department tables ID, which is the primary key, right? Here a foreign key to the employees department. So this is a relation which we actually created out of our model, right? Whatever we created in our model, right? We actually created this. Fine. So let's go back to the database. Yeah. Cancel it and close. And that is your foreign key calculated. Now these two tables are created. Okay. Let's go back to this and save this. Now let's save this. So let's close the SQL because we're done with this, and we're done with this data here. Now what we'll do, our program is ready now, right? Because we have created our model first, we'll do that. Now you can see here your context class was created. Now you can see your context class is your office model container. There, if you go to app config, right, your connections to will be there, here, right? With your office model container is the name, and you can see your data source or the catalog as well department. Right. Now let's add something to this. Let's do some operation, maybe insert operation to this. So initially, before you want to use any entity model, it's very important to access your context, right? So let's say office model container, let's do it as DB context. DB context, right? So this is your DB context. Now what we have to do, we have to let's say you want to insert some data in departments, right? So let's take department object here, and let's mention so your ID is anyways unique, right? So you can see here your ID will be unique. Now let's set this ID. Below that's the primary key, and also we can see here your identity specification is yes, which means your ID in departments, right, is unique, and every time you add any record, right, your ID will be implemented by 1 and it will actually start from C1, right? So let me go to department schema here. Same thing, you can see that we set this go to identity specification, we have the same. So which means you don't have to know about ID, right? So let's give department name directly. Let's say it's accounts department, and you have department and you have your department dot let's say you have creative time, right? Time and you have, let's go to the button. What else we have? Name and all. Now let's first see how this gets inserted first. So here we have it ready. Now we have to go to DB context dot, it is department, right? So we have to go to DB set of departments dot add, right? Add alpha. So this will make sure that the object whatever we have created will be taken there, and then once it is done, go ahead with save changes. Right, so this will actually add your data to the just say you have your console dot pipeline successful, right? And out of catch, just ask for right, and any exception, if we get any exception here, let's print that exception here, console.log. Fine, good, the program is ready now. So let's run this program and see how it works. So you can see operation successful, right? Let's go back to departments and run this. Now you can see we have one department added, right? Similarly, let's go ahead and check the employees here, right? You can see employees is blank over here. What you can do here, you can actually add your employees. Now, while adding your department itself, you can add, right? Or else what you can do, let's say your department is already added, right? You can create a separate object for your employee. Right? And then you can actually make it as like we have employee name, we call it as PC, and we have, you can check it here, employee name and file phone number here, user number, and then we have and you have a create date tag, right? You have to create date tag, and set that now, and then you have department ID. Let's say I'm going to take department ID as 1, right? Because I want to add to the first department. I want to currently this employee details for the first department, right? And once you're done with this, let's save this to DB context. Dot employees data set or DB set to add your EMP and your DB context dot subjects. Right, so this will actually convert add up your employee to the first one. Let's run this program. So we are uploading successful. Now you can see in your departments, one more row will be added anyways, the same accounts. But if you go back to your employees, right, you can see a new employee got added with department ID 1, which means now department 1 is connected with the employees here. You can have multiple employees for one. Right? So in this way you can actually create your model first approach. Right? We have created a model first, right, where we started with the empty model, we created all the end-to-end models, right, and then we started creating query SQL queries, right. So once our SQL query is ready, then we connect it to the database, whatsoever database we wanted, right? And then we actually went through executing that query, and once we executed all the schemas with the columns and definitions, whatever we wanted, got created, right? And then when we executed it, right, all the schemas and the relations got created, right? And then our context class, right, got created because P gave connections tree, right? It actually got created with the same name as if we gave a connections tree name, right? And all the models, whatever we created, departments and employee, like it actually added as the DB sets, with the end classes of your models. You can see in your model, you can see you have a department, you have, right? You have employee, right? Two tables, and you have a connection over here. This is department directors, right? So these are gets created, but one prerequisite for your model first approach is that your database should be ready. That's it. Your schema first immediately your database and schemas and everything should be ready so that you can actually create your model, ready models from your schemas, right? Whereas when you have your model first, right, at least your database should be ready because your schema model first needs a database in which it can create all the objects. That's a model first, right? So these are the two approaches which we have, and the third approach which we have is, now this is something which is more into depth, which is code first approach, right? Where what we will be doing is we will be creating code. We'll be writing these classes, right? And from this class, we'll see how to create our schema, database schema. Now, for this code first, right, you don't need your database name, right? We'll see how to create a code first approach. And this is more, compact. Like you write a classes, and our entity framework will help us to create even the database. It will create a database, and then it will also create your objects in it, right? So, yeah, wherever you want, you can actually use this code first, right? But we are going to write everything on the class files. Right, we define all the model classes, right? We'll see this code first approach now. Next class.